The world is experiencing an unprecedented political polarization. On one side, Lula, president of Brazil, a symbol of progressive and social policies. On the other, Donald Trump, former U.S. president and icon of conservatism and economic nationalism. Even in different countries, their paths and speeches clash in the global geopolitical arena. But why does this confrontation matter so much for the world? The answer lies in how their decisions reflect a broader dispute, which transcends borders and reaches us in the form of economic, social, and diplomatic impacts. In recent years, we've seen international alliances shaken, markets reacting to politics, and social media turning political debates into true ideological battlegrounds. Today, Lula and Trump represent two opposing models of the world: global cooperation and social policies, nationalist isolation and selective economic liberalism. Get ready to understand how the symbolic clash could directly affect the future of Brazil, the United States, and the entire world, and try to answer the ultimate question: where are we heading? Lula versus Trump, symbols of two conflicting worlds. To understand the impact of this rivalry, we need to look beyond the names and see what they truly represent. Lula, historic leader of Brazil's Workers' Party, gained international fame as a symbol of Latin American leftism, focused on social programs, fighting hunger, and strengthening ties with emerging countries. Throughout his presidencies, he defended South-South integration, reinforced alliances with China, Russia, and African nations, and maintained pragmatic trade relations with the U.S., even amid ideological tensions. Donald Trump, on the other hand, represents American right-wing populism, centered on the America First agenda. His presidency was marked by economic protectionism, trade wars with China, withdrawal from international environmental agreements, and an effort to isolate the U.S. from multilateral institutions. In global geopolitics, Lula seeks inclusion and international dialogue, while Trump bets on fragmentation and unilateral economic power. This opposition isn't just diplomatic, it reflects the global ideological battle dividing left and right across the planet. Interestingly, even without frequent direct interaction, Lula and Trump influence each other indirectly. Trump inspires conservative politicians in Brazil, creating a political mirror effect. Lula's focus on social and environmental policies contrasts sharply with Trump's approach, challenging his ideological allies worldwide. This clash of narrative shapes not only politics but also public perception on social media, where both are targets of heated debates, memes, and fake news. In the next topic, we'll dive into how this ideological clash directly impacts the global economy and the daily life of ordinary Brazilians and Americans. The economic and geopolitical impact of the clash. The Lula versus Trump dispute may feel distant to the average citizen, but its economic consequences directly affect jobs, prices, and trade relations. When Trump was in power, American protectionism triggered global trade tensions. If he were to return to the White House, we could expect pressure on Brazilian exports, especially in agribusiness, since the U.S. competes directly with Brazil in soy, beef, and corn. Lula, in contrast, is betting on diversifying partnerships. Brazil is deepening its ties with China, Russia, and India, strengthening the BRICS alliance and defending a multipolar world that is less dependent on the U.S. This strategy could create new business opportunities and investments, but also diplomatic friction with Washington if trade interests clash. Another crucial factor is the environment and climate policy. Trump has made it clear he doesn't prioritize international environmental agreements, while Lula promotes the Amazon as a global priority. This divergence can attract or repel foreign investment, depending on who governs in the U.S. The practical reality is that American elections directly affect Brazil. A world where Trump and Lula are both prominent means tense negotiations, unstable markets, and political decisions with immediate global impact. The future of global politics. Where are we heading? The big question is, where is the world going amidst such polarization? Lula versus Trump is just a reflection of a global ideological dispute, where left and right fight not only with policies but also with narratives. Social media has turned every political move into a spectacle, influencing elections, economies, and diplomacy. If polarization continues to grow, we could see increased diplomatic tensions between ideologically opposed nations, volatile financial markets reacting to political statements, societies more divided than ever, making internal and international consensus harder to achieve. The future will depend on the ability of opposing visions to engage in dialogue, or on the consolidation of isolated ideological blocs, like BRICS versus NATO, or Global South versus Global North. Ultimately, Lula versus Trump is not just about Brazil and the US, it's about which model of the world will dominate in the coming decades. Cooperation and social inclusion. Nationalism and economic protectionism. The answer might not be about choosing a side, but rather understanding how these forces will balance each other in the global game. The Lula versus Trump clash represents a divided planet, where politics and ideology are deeply intertwined in every decision. The outcome of this confrontation could shape global trade, diplomacy, and even world stability. Now, I want to hear your opinion. Do you believe the world is moving toward greater cooperation or toward an increasingly dangerous division? Comment below, share this video, and subscribe to the channel, because this debate is only beginning.